ep8. This episode, we're talking about The Boys and also Guns Akimbo, aka Harry Potter with guns on his hands.
Not Harry Potter with guns. That would be Star Wars? I don't know.
I don't know what that would
be. Anyway.
Yeah. So
America, that's what it would be.
And then also God son of a Reggie Rock with a fucking handbag. Yeah.
Really, really cute ones today. Or a cute animal, that is. You'll see.
What fist? Come on.
You know that noise.
Come on.
Everybody knows that noise. Fuck.
Okay, so first we're going to talk about Guns Akimbo, starring Daniel Radcliffe, as most of you would know him as the guy who played Harry Potter for all the movies that were coming out for quite a while there. This movie is interesting. It's an interesting movie. So first, let's go with aesthetics. I'll just put our little note down here so we can see it. Aesthetics. This movie looks insane. This movie looks absolutely crazy. It's like a fever dream.
This was one of the first times I selected a movie and didn't tell you what it was at all. I just started playing it.
Yeah, so I only knew it from the meme of Daniel Radcliffe with like a crazy look in his eyes, and he's like
dual-wielding pistols.
Yeah, dual-wielding pistols.
Turns out,
yeah,
they're bolted to his fucking hands.
Yeah, they're just straight up on his hands. They bolted him to his hands. It's like this crazy, I don't know, like online Fight Club sort of thing. That's like an underground thing that people are almost like watching on Twitch, basically.
What's the movie? I think it's with Shia LaBeouf. Similar premise where he has to do. Is it Eagle Eye? I think it's called Eagle Eye.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna double check while you continue to explain the premise.
But yeah, I mean that's most of it. He like kind of talks them online. He like trolls them a little bit on the Twitch stream or whatever, and then they're basically like, oh well, fuck you then, and then they find him, they knock him out, and they bolt guns to his hands, and they're like, oh, you're part of the games now, you're part of the thing. It's like a Fight Club where they like pit you against enemies that are already part of the thing, so they kind of pit him against a girl who's like been in the thing for like a while already and already beaten like 10 other people or something.
Yeah, a bunch of people. She's already a formidable foe.
Yes.
And she's introduced in like the very first scene as well. I would say I figured something out immediately because of subtitles. Again, my favorite, subtitles. I won't spoil it, but if you pay attention, you'll get some of the movie right away. I just wanted to circle back because I was right. It is Eagle Eye. In this movie, the Guns Akimbo is, for me, perfectly a combination of Eagle Eye and the one you read, Ready Player One. We both read it, but you read it recently, and then I reread it.
Yeah.
But anyway, take that concept of like going into battle each other. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that one's more. Getting back to aesthetics-wise, it was just a fever dream, like you said.
It was crazy. The colors were like all over the place. There's like lights of every different color, like just shot all over every different object. The camera was like, it was pissing me off, honestly. It was like spinning around and around. It just kept like flipping over and over. Like there's like probably 3 or 4 different scenes where when they cut in, the camera was constantly rotating until it reached like the actual point of the scene, like whatever character focus or whatever was going on. And I was just like, dude, I'm gonna lose my mind. So yeah, it looked crazy. One thing I thought it's like one of those things of that meme, like if you showed this to a Victorian child, they would go into a coma. They would just like pass out. Just
absolutely short circuit.
Yeah, because it's just crazy. Also, the blood is like pretty bad. I mean, it's definitely not as high budget as the Harry Potter movies. Definitely a downgrade from that. It kind of seems, I was talking to Michaela, it kind of seems like after the Harry Potter movies came out, he was just like, you know what, I'm just going to take like the most insane roles possible and not care, because he
Yes.
was just like, he was in this with guns bolted to his hands.
And-
He was in the Horns movie where he's just like a guy sprouting demon horns. What's that other one?
Swiss Army Man.
Swiss Army Man, where he's literally just a fucking corpse that a guy rides around on like a weird surfboard.
It's so good.
I need to watch. I haven't seen it, so maybe we'll talk about it at some point.
Sure,
because I
yeah,
haven't
in
seen
the
it
future.
yet.
But that's a good segue into the next segment. But do you want to give our aesthetic score?
Yes,
first?
so I gave it a 6 out of 10. I was like, I don't know. It's stylistically, it's kind of interesting. It's just way too much, man. It's just way too much, and they just like go way too hard with it. So I gave it a 6. Probably like a weak 6, almost a 5, but I'll be nice.
Mine is a little complicated, and it's because I took this movie with a grain of salt, and I put it for some reason. Are you all right? I have 2 scores for this: 5 in parentheses 8, because I take it as a concept, and I'm taking the actors that like carried it out, but I'm focusing on aesthetics, so how it looked. I see what they were going for, and it was almost there, but there was some issues with consistency. It felt a little bit like maybe they switched directors midway through. That's going to tie back in later to script writing comments I have, but there were some effects on screen that happened when he drank or when something happened, and I was like, oh, why didn't that happen? Again, that happened every other time. Why didn't it happen now?
Interesting.
Just like cute sound, or not, video game sound effects, or like explosions. Oh, it was. You just reminded
Excuse
me.
me.
It was when he took his inhaler.
Oh yeah, he has an inhaler.
He has like a level up sound, or like an energy charge up sound,
Mhm.
and I thought that was really clever, and I could see what they were going for. So like in that realm, they could have been an 8, but I'm giving them a 5 because it just was not there.
Yeah, it kind of almost had that like Scott Pilgrim-y kind
Yes.
of thing going on sometimes, but like it was way too much. It was like someone who had way less artistic sensibility and just like taste just made the decisions, as opposed to the people who wrote and produced and made Scott Pilgrim, who just like, it was obviously over the top, but it was put together very well. It was just very weird.
But good criticisms we have to the next category: acting.
Yeah.
The actors carried this movie, and it is the only reason I watched it. I mean, literally, Daniel Radcliffe was, I think, the only reason that many people watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And his opposite, I'm going to look her name up right now. I'm so bad about this. I need to get a whiteboard, and I'm gonna write them down. But they both are incredible, and I know she's always compared to Margot Robbie.
She does not look like her at all in the movie, though. They really
Samara Weaving. They bleached her eyebrows, so she looks way different.
Yeah, and they made her look crazy too. Yeah, they got like prosthetic teeth going on and stuff like that.
But I think this was around the same time that she did Ready or Not, and there was a couple other like low budget movies that she was in,
Okay.
and then she like took off. I feel like maybe that was her takeoff, but I really heard about her when these movies came out, and I didn't even realize it was her in this one.
Oh, okay.
But it made sense because like her lines, some of them were really terrible, especially in like the climax of the movie, which we're gonna come back to at the script. I know I should save it, but she delivered the lines as well as someone could.
Yeah.
She did really well, and that's coming from someone who's not an actor.
Yeah, and I'd say same for Daniel Radcliffe too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
that was almost expected though.
Yeah.
I knew he was gonna rock it, but she really surprised me.
The movie itself was bad, but like the fact that the couple leads in there were entertaining, and like the whole premise itself was kind of entertaining, made it decent. Like it's one of those movies like where if they weren't in it, I'd probably just like completely write it off. But since they are, especially like because Harry Potter's in there, it's something that I might throw on in the background in the future, or to show someone like just a really stupid fucking movie that is like, hey, here's Harry Potter
Watch this.
Watch this. Yeah, like, you remember
Surprise!
Harry Potter? Here he is now. Yeah! I mean, I gave
think
the
it's funny.
acting myself, I gave it a 4 out of 10 because, like...
Some of the side characters were
Yeah,
pretty
most
bad.
of the other actors were honestly, like, piss poor. Like, they were honestly horrible. The main bad guy... Weird, man. He was so weird.
Walmart John Kramer.
Yeah, he was like the games master of the bad, the bad guys who run the whole
Schism, I think it's
Schism.
called.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
name
Richter.
is Richter.
Yeah, so
And when he was introduced, I didn't even realize he was the big baddie. I thought it was a group of thugs that he sent to go get Harry Potter.
yeah.
And it was just like
And
not
then
a very
act-
good reveal.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, his part looks like a thug. He's just like he just like kind of looks like a little grunt henchman guy
Yeah.
almost. Like he's just like a bald guy covered in tattoos, which is in itself just kind of
He just looks more skinhead scary than
like a mastermind.
mastermind behind a computer.
Yeah, and then his acting was so weird and so inconsistent. It was
Yeah.
so odd. Like his voice intonation and stuff would just like
Oh,
change
yeah.
in between scenes. Like just like his voice in general, like how his character was talking, changed
might
in
have
between
been-
scenes. It was so weird.
On purpose, it might have been a stylistic choice, but it wasn't clear.
It was odd.
If
It
that's
was
true.
it was off-putting, and it didn't seem like a purposeful way. But I don't know, maybe it was. It was just, I didn't like it, man. And yeah, all the other actors were just kind of bad. But the headliners, kind of carried it.
Yep. For this rating, again, I'm gonna separate the movie and the actors because that's not really fair. I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to. The acting, I'm just gonna look at the leads and I'm gonna go with a 9 3/4.
Oh yeah, I forgot you. 9 3/4. All right, yeah.
As in, the leads got the 9 or the 9 3/4, but the others were only 3/4 of a point.
Makes sense.
Yep, I just thought of that now. It's fine.
So
Script.
yes, the last category would be script. I'm just gonna start out with my score for this one. I gave it another 4 out of 10. It was bad, dude. It was not good. It was really bad. It was laughably bad. It was full of cliches and just like things that didn't make any sense and like a bunch of one-liners that were just so horribly cringy, just so bad.
I actually
Like
cringed.
visibly cringed.
Multiple
Yeah, it
times.
was just like the lead lady there who we were talking, I can't remember her name already now. but-
Samara Weaving.
Yeah, Samara Weaving. Her script, oh god, it was so bad. It was so fucking bad. It was just like, especially towards the end, it was just like all of her lines were just bad one-liners. Just like,
I know I was gonna write it down, the one that really made me go for it, but I can't remember it, so I'm just gonna give you what the vibe was. She's blasting everyone away, and then you're gonna get but you made me break my nail. And it's like, it wasn't that, but it was that vibe.
yeah, and
Ah!
it would do like a complete kind of stop when she would do like the one-liner too. Like a couple of times it was like in the middle of an action
Yeah.
sequence, and then she would get like knocked on the ground or something, and then,
And then
do
just
a
camera.
really bad one-liner, and the camera would like go to her. It's just like, oh jeez.
But again, it could have been a stylistic choice if they were gonna add more to it or like make more of the moment, but it just was cringy. It did not happen that way.
It was so bad. It was so bad. And I mean,
bad.
like, and Daniel Radcliffe's script was, pretty equally as bad, but it was more the parts where, like, where they had him, like, narrating in the back, like, where they'd have him, like,
Yeah.
the kind of, like, oh, I bet you're wondering how I got here, sort of
Yep,
things.
Yeah.
that's
And it was,
me.
like, a bunch of those moments, and every single time they had him narrate like that, it was just awful.
Please stop.
Just awful. So yeah, the script wasn't good, man. It wasn't good. But the I kind of liked the pacing of the story itself, like how the whole the action sequences moved and everything like that. So that's why I didn't give it like a completely abysmal like 2 or something like that. I felt like the second half especially kind of had a cool movement to it, and it felt frenetic to like actually watch. It was just like all the aesthetics and the scripting and stuff tying it together. Like the lines were just really just fun.
Agreed. I gave it a 3 for all said reasons. But watch it if you're a fan of Daniel Radcliffe and you don't mind penises and blood and fart jokes, basically. I mean, it's not fart jokes, but it's that kind of humor. It's a little bit. It was silly.
It was 12-year-old-ish.
Yeah. And a lot of cool explosions, though. I will say that the special effects, which I don't think I mentioned much, they weren't unbelievable for what kind of movie it was.
The blood was bad.
The blood was really bad.
But the rest of the stuff was kind of cool.
Yeah, I would say the explosions.
It kind of, the blood and everything kind of reminded me of like CW type shit.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know?
Yeah, it was like, normally I feel like you can mix strawberry syrup with some things, but this just looked like straight up acrylic paint. Like cloudy, pastel-y, like just reddish, but again, it could have been a stylistic choice. Yeah. It wasn't executed all the way.
There were also some continuity errors with the blood too that were like very obvious in a couple spots that we got a good giggle out of. I'll put the average up of all of our scores.
Bonus point. I'll give them 1 bonus point. You can put it wherever you'd like. Because they didn't have any bad wigs. That took me out of it.
Oh, true. I guess they didn't really have any bad wigs.
That's a pretty low bar these days.
Yeah. So I'll put an extra point in.
Aesthetics for me, I guess. You can give it a 6. Because I gave it a 5 and an 8.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll put it in aesthetics.
Give it a 6.
Yeah. So average score for Guns Akimbo, starring Harry Potter and Margot Robbie.
No!
Poppy.
She's lovely.
Right here.
I love you.
Yeah.
Was something.
Yeah, it was a movie.
That was something, girl.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Just because Harry Potter is in it, I will probably just kind of throw it on again at some point because it's kind of stupid.
It's a good background.
If they weren't in it, I would just be like, wow, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I'll probably never watch it again. But
glad we didn't pay for it. We just streamed it somewhere, right?
Yeah, we just streamed it on.
Pay for streaming.
That's what I mean. I don't know. I'm okay with renting a movie for $4 or whatever if it ends up being stupid because there's even that's the thing. If you're fun, like if you have a fun time with like kind of crappy B movies sometimes, if you just like sometimes want to watch like a laughably bad movie.
My favorite, yeah.
It's a great one for it. It's kind of better than a normal B movie like that because usually a lot of those, unless they're a really noteworthy one, you kind of just watch and you're like, that was funny and stupid.
Wish I could have my 2 hours back.
Yeah, but it was kind of an entertaining experience, whereas this one is like Harry Potter guys in it.
Nice.
So cool, I guess. You know, like it makes it kind of memorable otherwise. Yeah, that's that movie. Next, we're talking about a show that is much more, highly awarded and known and
higher budget.
Yeah, higher budget and also just it
really
definitely
pertinent.
Reviewed better in general
to the times at the moment. It's currently being revealed to the public that it's been satire the whole time.
Oh my god!
Season 4 just came out, and I guess more conservative folks are angry about where the show has gone and what kind of turn it's taken. But I just started watching because of that, and also shout out Space. I should have been watching this 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I started I read the comics
4 years ago. I was supposed to watch it with you. I apologize. But anyway, I got to it, we watched it, and I am obsessed.
Yes, and we decided because of the whole controversy with it and stuff and how big it is, we're going to try to kind of split it up. So right now, we're just going to talk about season 1.
Season 1.
And then we're going to do the next, at least until season, we'll do season 2 and 3 because those ones are done. And then 4 we'll end up doing somewhere down the line once they have all the episodes out and stuff. But yeah, right now we're just talking about season 1. If you want to catch the other seasons, catch our upcoming episodes. which we'll probably have out a little bit sooner because we're like ready to jump on season 2.
Please.
But yeah, we wanted to do that just because, well, the show's pretty big and people might want to delve into it a little bit more with us here.
I think the politics are extra poignant.
Yes,
Tongue twister.
yes, and that's the other thing. The politics are just kind of very there right now, and also
it's really good.
We were kind of interested in how it doesn't really seem like it wasn't satire the whole time. So
yeah, going into it with that lens is, I guess, interesting. You can't really go back in time and start watching it with the general public when it did blow up. But, I'm really enjoying it. I will say, not that it's right off the bat, we've already been chatting, but trigger warning or like content warning for anybody who's sensitive to basically any nasty stuff that has happened to the humans, because they explore humanity and the nasty things we do to each other, and it's pretty graphic.
Yeah, so basically we didn't really talk about the premise. If anyone doesn't know what The Boys is, it's a show based off a comic book, and the whole story is that there are superheroes, just like in a lot of comics, but it's just a lot more, I don't know, it's just kind of more realistic and a lot more a lot more comic book, or a lot of heroes are kind of people underneath.
I feel like The Boys is what happens when superheroes meet capitalism for real, as you said, and corporations get their hands on it, and superheroes think they're above it all, or the concept of a superhero might be above it all, but not when there's money in a dirty capitalist society. And I guess I'm a dirty hippie.
Yeah, they're superheroes, and they're bad. Not all of them are really, but for the most part, they're kind of bad. They're just, people who power has corrupted, and they, or they've let themselves kind of slip over time because they are allowed to just kind of do whatever they want. Kind of like we see with very powerful people now, which obviously I think is a parallel that they are trying to draw.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so like Mick was saying before, trigger warning if you're squeamish about like any gore stuff, or there's some like essay type of stuff going on as well.
Cover it all, basically.
Yeah, exploration of
drugs,
power dynamics, drugs, addiction, power dynamics between people who are that kind of like Hollywood dynamic with, let's just jump into aesthetics. Let's see what I have on my thing. I got a little more notes for this one. So I said that they were like pretty good. There was nothing to like really pull me out of the show that I saw for the most part. Like obviously Guns Akimbo, there was a lot of stuff that was like pretty obviously boo-boo. But I don't know, I didn't really, there wasn't much that really pulled me out of it. Nothing that was like really cheesy.
Yeah, I agree with that. The suits I look at often, or costumes, whatever, wardrobe was believable even when they're super clean, supposed to be on a billboard looking like a comic book character.
Yeah.
They still looked like, okay, that could be a really nice material. It didn't look like Avatar.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is some of them look a little stiff-ish, like maybe they wouldn't have the greatest mobility in real life, but that is what it is. I feel like that's just kind of what happens when you make a super intricate looking like suit like that in real life.
Yeah, and they've done a good job at, even with the costumes that are on the female superheroes, like they're obviously sexualized and their bodies are focused on things, but they executed it pretty well. Mm-hmm. Because even when they're supposed to be in the super sexy suits, I'm like, wow, that does cover everything. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Impressive. I'm impressed, because the comics, the way they are drawn, talk about unrealistic beauty standards.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely something that they
poke fun
definitely touch on too, with one of the like main characters. So yeah, I gave the aesthetics overall an 8 out of 10. I don't think they're like, I don't know, I honestly don't think they're like the main draw of the show. I mean, there are some pretty cool parts, But I think more of it is like the intrigue of what's going to happen next and like the tension and stuff like that. So yeah, I gave the aesthetics an 8 out of 10. Nothing like super great, but really pretty good.
I'm gonna change my answer on there, but I'm giving it an 8 as well because I want to see where it goes with the rest of the seasons because we're lucky and we have 3 seasons to binge now. Well, 2.5, whatever. But I will say I do like the explosions and the special effects that they use. They're not too cheesy for a television show. It's believable. Some of the laser beams are a little silly sometimes, but they're still believable enough that it makes sense. Like who is it? Homelander.
Yeah.
Homelander's laser beam eyes. It's kind of touching on realism again. If you think about Superman when he uses his laser eyes, he's like very targeted and it's like pew pew pew. Homelander, he turns that shit on and it's
just like wherever his eyeballs are looking. Yeah, it's not like
cool.
It's not like I don't know, like if you see a video of someone and it shows their eye tracking and how it's like wiggling around and stuff, that's how his laser beams move around.
And it's scary.
Yeah, and it is unpredictable and kind of scary.
They did a good job executing that. For as fake of a thing it is as it is, it looks believable.
Yeah, and partly why I gave it an 8 out of 10 is because like it is TV show. It's obviously a 10 would be something crazy like Dune or like Avatar, where they have like millions and millions of dollars to make a crazy, graphically impressive or some crazy practical set going on or something like that, which obviously this doesn't really have that. It's a TV show, and I mean it probably has a decent enough budget, but yeah, that's the only reason why I didn't give it something like crazy, because it is it's pretty decent. There's nothing in it that really was like because I feel like a lot of like supernatural shows or like shows with comic book superheroes and stuff like that, there's always like one of the powers or something that they do where it's like that looks kind of goofy, but you just kind of get past it. Whereas this one, there was nothing that really
not yet anyway.
Yeah, there's nothing that's really done that for me so far. But
I think that also ties into our next category with acting.
Yeah.
So the acting, again through a lens of a TV show. What do you got to say about it?
I thought it was really good. All the big headliners, like the big main characters, I thought they all have done really awesome. Like Homelander, obviously, he is really good at playing like a diabolical
piece of
shit. Yeah, and like I don't know, being able to. He does a few things where he's just like being the really nice guy Homelander to the public, like front-facing guy, and he's being all overly nice and kind of like the TV persona, and then he'll turn around and be like the piece of shit immediately, like so fast, and he does a very good job at it. The main leading lady there, Starlight, she also does a really good job. I really liked her stuff so far. Makes you definitely feel for her, or kind of the situation that she's in.
Absolutely.
I would say Huey is probably like the weakest of the 3, but he still did a really good job. I just don't think, his reaction to his girlfriend being it's very early on. It's kind of like a main plot point that pushes the whole story forward, but one of the 7, which is basically like the Avengers in this universe, he's a speedster guy, and he like literally runs through his girlfriend as they're talking to each other. Yes, one of the main characters, his name's Huey, and like blows her up, and I just think his reaction to it wasn't necessarily the most convincing in a couple parts. Like it just seemed a little underwhelming, where if I'm thinking if myself was in that situation, I would just be like could be much more angry or sad or something, like in the couple of the things where he was supposed to be like being more reactive. I feel like he could have
I think
put
it
more
was
into it,
written in the script. I think you're right about that, and maybe he just interpreted it as having a more introverted character internally processing, but everything else being external in this show.
Which is maybe partly what they wanted to
hard.
do too, because I think they're trying to show his character as being kind of, a wimp and someone who never expresses his thoughts or feelings to anyone genuinely. So I think they're trying to show him grow in that more and just be more true to himself and just do what he wants to do rather than be scared to do things. But yeah, it also kind of made it seem like his girlfriend literally getting exploded was downplayed a little bit.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, in the comic books too, it's kind of that I kind of felt that as well, because it was a moment that was very scary and it really sucked and you felt bad for him. But then everything else just went so quick afterwards that I was like, okay.
I think maybe it's used to show how small humans are in comparison to the soups. They just don't regard you as someone's whole life and everything. You're a bug. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Three Body Problem.
I still haven't watched that.
We're gonna talk about that one too. But I give the. Did you get?
I didn't see my.
I don't want to say my score yet, but I would say my only other criticism would be of the Deep. But I left this one in an acting rather than script, because again he carries out the lines well. The actor that plays the Deep, some of them. Or no, I just said that backwards, I guess. Some of his lines don't seem to fit. And I bounce back and forth. It goes into script? It might go into script, but I think it's really just a critique of his character, because the Deep also sucks. And right off the bat, I guess spoiler alert, skip 5 seconds if you don't want to know, but he sexually assaults someone, and then he's just ready to just eat a bag of Doritos and just chill. And I guess that was part of it too, but they had this moment of making him really dark and malicious, and then you never see that again. All the other characters, I've seen the dark sides of them or whatever. Yeah. And maybe it was supposed to be that way because, sexual assault is no biggie for him, but why would they make it so purposefully dark in that moment of him convincing her and then never show that again? I haven't seen it yet. So that's a critique that has some room to grow, I guess.
I think he's just gotten so used to the power dynamic of being able to do whatever he wants. Yeah.
That's my critique.
I think that's what they're trying to go for, but yeah, I can understand that for sure. You also wrote down about the Kiwi accent.
Oh yeah, so acting. I just have a critique for the Butcher, but it's just because I like to listen for accents popping through. So I was like, oh, I know him, and I know him as the Protector in another movie. But Billy Butcher, the actor, he has some intense lines, which again are another critique in the script section that I have noted, but he delivers them, and it's like a string of cuss words. It's just occasionally I can hear that New Zealander come out, and it's really, I enjoy that actually. It's not a huge critique.
Yeah, so for that one, we both gave it
8.
An 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good so far. There was just a couple parts where it was not perfect, but it kind of might tie in with the scripting a little bit.
Sure. So what do you think of the script?
I said it was really good. Kind of predictable a little bit.
Sure.
But also in a way that maybe that was, it's supposed to kind of be like that because they're supposed to be paralleling.
Parodying?
Well, I don't know. Is that paralleling? I don't know. They're supposed to be striking parallels between actual, things that are happening currently, and I think we're supposed to easily draw those conclusions. So I think if it was, there was more twisty turniness, then it would be, I don't know, just wouldn't be as poignant in that way. Mm-hmm. But there are still some twisty turninesses that
fun.
That are fun. Yeah, they're just, some of them are a little cliche, but in a way that is pointed. So I don't really mind it. The only other thing I was really going to say is that a lot of, not a lot, but some of Butcher's lines just seem forced a little bit. And just a little weird. I don't know. They were fine, but some of them just seemed a little forced and like edgy to the point of unnecessariness, which I mean that's like part of the show.
Giving Guns Akimbo vibes.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little too much edge for the sake of edge, which I don't know. I don't know if I can really I can demote that for it being in the show as just a show, but if I'm going off of the source material, it's honestly so dumbed down because the comic is just like, it's just pure edgelord 15-year-old shenanigans for the most part.
Yeah, I found that piece of information interesting because I hear among the group or the crowd that people like the show better than the comic, and that doesn't happen very often.
No, a lot of the times people, actually who were into the source material like the source material better because it's usually a little deeper and it's usually
true
like,
to it, blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it's usually not as beholden to like industry standards and all that kind of stuff, because it's just a person writing some stuff. But the guy who wrote it, Garth Ennis, is kind of known for just being like cringy edgelord guy in comics, or one of them. There's a couple of famous ones that are kind of in that vein, but he's a big one. And I don't know. I'm a big comic book fan. I read like the first 3 or 4 volumes, and I was just like, this makes me feel bad, man. I don't want to really read this anymore. I sold them.
Yeah, I remember they were in a case.
Yeah, I just straight up sold them. Like, and that's not a thing I usually do. Like, I keep at least the comic books that I really like, especially from like big famous series like that. I usually keep them. Especially if they're like the volumes and not just the single issues. I like collecting those. But I don't know, just something about them just made me feel a little icky, man, because he's just vindictive with how he writes things and what he puts his characters and stuff through, it seems like sometimes. And it doesn't seem like it's for a purpose. Sometimes it's just like he's just being violent and being an asshole to the characters to be an asshole.
And I think the show does that just the perfect amount. Yeah,
exactly. And the show, and I think part of it is because like a show too has to be more condensed because it has to get through all that story in a few episodes, whereas the comic is like, it has like a whole bunch of issues, if I remember right. There's like a ton of them. Mm-hmm. The show is more poignant to me.
Sure. I'd give it a 7, I think.
You said a 7.5. Yeah.
I'll give it a 7. I'm gonna stick with 7 because I want to see where it goes or develops. I like it so far. Yeah. And I want to watch season 2.
I said an 8 with all of the caveats and stuff I said. I still really liked it. And honestly, even though the Butcher's line's like over the top and stuff, he's very entertaining.
He's one of my favorite characters. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very entertaining character. Overall, here's our score. We'll put averages up there. I'll put them in. So yeah, that's the shows we are talking about, or the stuff we're talking about for movies and TV this week or month. I'll get better at editing stuff. But hopefully next time we'll be talking about Boys Season 2. So check that out. And then I think we're also going to stick with the same theme, which is kind of The Boys and kind of movie. So I think we're going to actually watch...
Stay tuned for Madam Web.
Madam Web next time, because we just heard so many bad things about it, and we saw it when we were scrolling through stuff, and we were like, you know what? Let's talk about that, because it's going to be hilarious.
But before you go...
Animal Fact!
Today we are discussing the genus of Bombus.
Bombus.
The bumblebee!
Oh, bumblebee.
It's very cute.
That'll be
we
a
all
fun
love them.
edit for the fucking censors.
Yep.
That's fun though. Bombus? That's the genus
so,
name?
let me see. I want to see it spelled correctly here. But we're discussing bumblebees and specifically, yes, Bombus.
Bombus.
Bombus is their genus, so like Bombus something or other is going to be like the different species. I was originally going to go with a native New York one because that's what I've been stung by out front.
Ow.
But I'm just going to discuss them all in general today, and we're going to go kind of speedy. The bumblebee You always hear that they can't bite or they can't sting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought that they only bite you.
They can sting.
Oh, they can? Okay.
They can. They can indeed, and they can sting with their smooth stinger multiple times. So they can grab on.
Oh, it doesn't have a barb in it?
It doesn't have a barb, so they can grab onto you and sting you multiple times.
So like clench onto you and then they just stick their butt in there. Yeah, yeah, yeah! Yeah! Butt stab!
Yes. And they have, we'll put a picture up, you can see the venom in their stinger. So you hear them buzzing all the time, and that's what kind of got me thinking that this should be one to discuss today. They're adorable! I love them so much, and we saw one recently with its pollen sacs all full.
Oh, yeah!
So you'll often see them buzzing around inside of a flower, and that actually, it has a name, buzz pollination.
Huh.
Bees do this so well that they made an own category for them.
Oh, so wait, the buzzing and flapping around of their wings makes the pollen come off and get stuck to their legs?
Yes, so they go into the flowers.
I always wondered how it got on their legs. I thought they were like, I don't know, grabbing it with their front legs sort of and kind of like sliding it down. And
well, you're partially right, you're all right. So yes, and yes.
Oh, okay.
They go inside the flower and they buzz around to knock the pollen loose, and it gets stuck all over their hairs, all over their body, and then they'll fly somewhere else or maybe in the flower depending on what they're feeling. And they sit there and they clean them and they shove all the pollen into their pollen sacs. So that's why those look so full, because they have to shove all this pollen in there. And it's adorable. And
that's so cool.
So much. And they're all female. All the bumblebees you'll see. If any of them have the yellow pollen sacs, it's a female. The males are just like drones for like fertilization, and that's when the queen in the colony does not fertilize the egg with this. Okay, let me back up. The queen will mate with a male, and she can keep the sperm for like a year or so, and then she can decide when to use it and to make all the females work for her drones, etc. Worker bees. I'm messing up their terminologies here, but they do have a male and a female. Most of the ones you'll see are all female.
Okay.
I guess we'll go by that.
Cool.
Maybe that's wrong. But the pollen sacs for sure are on the females, which is what.
So they don't have like a queen, like.
They do. They have a queen, and she's the one that decides to use the sperm or not.
Oh, okay.
Because if she doesn't use the sperm, then it's a boy. How does that work?
I thought it was just that usually there was only like a female basically, and then they were mostly just all males, all the drones and stuff.
Yeah, that's in other bees maybe, but yeah, this one here.
Bumblebees aren't like that.
Bumblebees, not quite, because the males do not have the pollen catchers, and that's kind of sad. Sad for them. They only live to mate, I guess, and then go away. I didn't do enough research on them.
Yeah, I know that's how some of them are. I've definitely read that before.
One of my sources says that females have a shiny flat pollen basket fringed with long hairs. Any bumblebee carrying pollen will be female, as males and cuckoos, which I'll discuss in a moment, do not have a pollen basket. The male has 13 segments and the female has 12. Males have 7 segments on their abdomen and females have 6. Kind of difficult to see because of the hairs. They do have wax secreted between those plates, just like I think that's how other bees do it too. So like beeswax between them comes out there.
Oh. Is that part of how they move around without?
Maybe I shouldn't speak on that. Oh no. Okay, so I'm gonna say this again. This source, if it's leading me in the wrong direction, I'm gonna blame this source. So blame me and blame them. But this wax, secreted by the glands in the abdomen, it exudes between the chitinous plates of the abdomen and looks like little flakes of dandruff. It is scraped off by the legs and molded into whatever they need.
Huh. That's cool.
The wax is used to construct honeypots, as a covering for the eggs, as a lining inside some cocoons. Some make them to hold nectar/honey, and sometimes as a covering for the whole nest. Wax is secreted by the queen when she starts the nest and by workers on the 2nd day of adulthood. That's very specific.
Wow.
The secretions decline after a week. It is during this time that most workers spend most of their time in the nest performing household tasks. Only later do they leave the nest for the dangerous job of foraging, and that's when you see the females going out into the flowers.
After their beeswax secretion stops, they're just like, well, you're not good for doing construction work anymore.
Bye.
So you have to be a out
See
into the
ya.
world. Yeah.
Kick your bumbling out the door. But they find these flowers, and the nectar too is really interesting because they do need to bring back nectar to feed the queen and the colony.
Yeah.
But they have to use quite a lot of it to get themselves off the ground and moving around because their bodies, they should not be capable of flight. They are
They're big
so
boys.
cute, and the fact that they can fly is just incredible.
I guess that's probably why well, maybe their wings are bigger too, but I don't know. I always thought that's why they made such a much lower pitched
Buzzy.
buzz noise than the wasps and stuff, because they're
Perhaps.
just so heavy, because then their wings are just like.
We're struggling! Help! But yeah, so they do take a lot of nectar, and they have a nectar, I forget what it's called, a honey stomach. It's something that they can use to transport the honey in, and there's like a little back door that they can use to consume some of it themselves, or seal it off, take it back to puke up.
Wow, that's crazy.
And that's like, I'm pretty sure the same way we get honey for eating. They just puke it up and we lap it up
And we
ourselves. So thanks, bees.
Thanks for puking, bees.
I don't know about bumblebee, but anyways, a quick fun fact that I could share. They are said, or it's often thought, that hummingbirds have the highest metabolic rate of animals, right? Of all animals.
Mm-hmm.
But the metabolic rate of bumblebees is 75% higher than a hummingbird.
So metabolic rate is in like how fast they burn through calories and stuff?
I believe so. That's why
Wow.
they have to have so much nectar on them at all times. And they have broken it down in this study here about how much grams of pollen and nectar they need to survive for
Like per body weight
per-
or whatever?
yeah, like 40 minutes of flying between different flowers, because they need, during the foraging, obviously the bee needs extra energy. She'll consume some of that. It's estimated that a full honey stomach could give a bumblebee about 40 minutes of flying time. And some of the flowers that they're visiting for the nectar to fill that honey pot up may contain as little as 0.001 milliliters of nectar. So to fill the honey stomach, the bumblebee may have to suck nectar from 60 flowers, and to find those 60 full flowers, they may have to visit 100 or more flowers.
Oh, wow.
Because, there's other bees out there competing.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it's sounds like it's hard out there.
Yeah,
It's a rough life.
seems like a thin margin for error there.
Very. And they are all competing with each other.
I'm just thinking of them like flying, and then they're like, oh no, my honey stomach's running out.
There's over 40 species of them in North America, which doesn't really narrow it down for us, but there's quite a few of them. Oh, I just wanted to mention cuckoo bumblebees.
Yeah, what's that?
So they are something interesting that I have just stumbled upon. So this is new information to me too, so even more tentative sharing. Cuckoo bumblebees are a bee that can't do anything itself, kind of like a parasite, but it just... Okay, rewind. Let me just read this for you. Cuckoo bumblebees are a member of the subgenus. So we're going subgenus here. So we were talking just in general of the bombus. In the bumblebee genus Bombus, until recently, the 28 species were considered to constitute a separate one, but it's been lumped together. They're a specialized socially parasitic lineage which parasitizes the nests of the true bumblebees, resulting in the loss of the ability to collect pollen and establish their own nests. So they kind of were just like the invaders that took over the nests when they saw that they couldn't do it themselves. They're like, oh, we can't build, we're just gonna take in over here. And it goes and it lays its eggs, and it's like a parasite, but it doesn't kill them all. So it's not considered to be exactly a parasite.
So what, it just kind of lives in there with them, and they don't do anything about it, really?
Cuckoo bumblebees do not create a worker caste and produce only male and female reproductives. They are considered to be inquilines in the colonies of true bumblebees. So this is what I was stumbling upon, inquilines.
So they just have a social structure like people then more.
Yes.
Like they don't have they just have, I mean, maybe they don't have pairings, but they just have everyone is just meant to do their thing. Huh.
So the
Weird.
cuckoo bees or the cuckoo bumblebees are another topic for another day for me to dive into deeper, because it seemed so crazy when I found out about it.
Yeah,
But,
that's
they're
weird.
like a cuckoo bird, where a cuckoo bird will lay its egg in another nest and then take off and let the other bird raise
Oh, I didn't realize. I
So,
forgot about cuckoo birds doing that. I was wondering why they're called cuckoo.
it. Cuckoo bumblebees
Huh.
exist. So that's your fun fact, that they just exist. I'm not going to go into any specifics
Yeah.
because I am no expert. But bumblebees, I hope I could shine a little bit of a light on them for you. They can sting. They don't normally.
And it hurts.
It does. They nest in the ground, and I hear that we have more aggressive species here in North America than compared to Europe. Everywhere I was reading, it was like, no, bumblebees are so nice, and then everyone in America was like, no, they hate this school. But they don't seem to mind as long as you stay back.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I don't know. Compared to all the other bees I've dealt with, like wasps, especially, like any of those.
Yeah.
I guess they're not really bees. That's like a separate kind of thing. But like, I don't know. I'd much rather a bumblebee than like a honeybee or
I like
a
honeybees.
wasp or something. I don't know. I feel like they are more likely to get aggressive though. Whereas
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
think there's three different
bumblebees,
genuses.
not so much.
So the bumblebees, the wasps, and then the honeybees are separate too. So the honeybees and bumblebees, I'm good with them.
I feel like honeybees can get kind of aggressive too.
Yes, they can.
But I don't know. I feel like bumblebees will let you get up in their space a lot more readily without fucking with you until you like literally are like in their
their
space.
business,
Like
yeah.
if you're like within the realm of like, you know, you could grab them, then they're like, hey man, get the fuck away
I
from
will
me.
stab
But,
you
like, yeah.
multiple times.
I feel like wasps, I mean, you know, they'll be all right sometimes, but like if you get in their area, sometimes they'll just get so aggressive. And
Agree.
yeah, I feel like honeybees have a tendency sometimes to do that. Not most of the time. Bumblebees have always seemed like the most friendly and least aggressive to me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're also fuzzy
And they
little
do
boys.
so much pollination and like cross pollination. You know, like they're collecting all this pollen, but while she's wiping it off her little furry hairs and everything, it's also falling into other flowers, and like it's just so cool. Evolution, man. I love it. So bumblebee, you're cool to me.
Thanks, bumblebees. Yeah. Okay. Bye, P5!